A day that'll go down in history.
I'm ecstatic. You could say I'm over the moon.
Ah, I see what you did there.
This was one of the most thrilling, action-packed landings
I have been watching in many years of this.
Tonight, we're eagerly awaiting those first pictures.
New images from NASA's historic mission to the moon. Take a look. These are the first pictures we've seen of the lunar lander there on the moon. The NASA's mission is also hitting a bit of a snag. The lander actually hit a rock during landing and tipped over on its side. Seems to be pretty problematic for the lander.
Landing on the moon has been tricky.
There have been many attempts in the last couple of years.
It's not all going to plan.
We heard the announcement that the Artemis mission to orbit the moon is going to be delayed
to September 2025.
And then the next Artemis mission to land on the moon for the first time in decades is going to be further delayed.
September 2026.
Delaying the Artemis 2 and 3 missions by about a year.
The 10-month adjustment to that launch schedule.
You believe that these revised schedule launches dates are realistic?
1 year is not a lot of time to do that learning. Turn around and be ready for a September 2026 launch date.
I think NASA will continue to be challenged on the schedule front, particularly with the Artemis 3 mission.
I don't think the Artemis 3, the landing mission, is at all realistically scheduled.
We saw just recently a very hyped SpaceX Starships blowing up after takeoff in the US last year.
With another setback when the Peregrine moon lander ended its mission in flames over the Pacific.
We saw landing failures from Israel's Space IL.
Faces of the team said it all. Israel's dream of landing on the moon dissolving into bitter disappointment.
We had a failure in the spacecraft.
He didn't make it.
An engine fault caused it to crash, scattering into thousands of pieces.
We saw the Japanese iSpace team.
An attempt to land a spacecraft on the moon apparently failed today.
You can see the tension in everyone's faces, but these are professionals and we trust them. It is so difficult feeling powerless now, but all we can do is cheer them up and trust them.
We could not complete the landing on the lunar surface. We lost the communication.
And the Russian Space Agency.
Now, Russia's first lunar mission in nearly 50 years has ended in failure after its spacecraft crashed into the moon.
In a statement, Roscosmos said the craft ceased to exist as a result of a collision with the surface of the moon.
And yet we saw successes with India's Chandrayaan-3.
The altitude is being brought down from 800 meters and we are nearing and approaching the lunar surface.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल
jubilation all around.
Sir, we have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon.
With the Japanese Space Agency Slim lander, although it was upside down.
What went wrong? Possibly the lander failed to settle the right way up, like in this animation. With the Slim lander, Japan has made space history, becoming the 5th nation to execute a soft touchdown on the lunar surface.
And the Chinese lander that sent a sample back home to Earth.
Now, you might remember the images last month of a Chinese spacecraft blasting off for the moon. Well, it's due to return to Earth in the coming hours, carrying fresh samples of moon rocks and debris.
The probe was made up of 4 modules. One was the lander, which is dug for rocks and soil. The materials were then transferred into a return capsule for the journey back to Earth.
So, still, landing on the moon is very difficult. Space is tough, especially whenever you're trying to show video from space.
We're going to the moon to stay.
Returning to the moon is an important step for our space program.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We are going.
We're going.
Back to the moon, back to the future, and this time back to stay.
Within a decade.
By 2020.
By 2025.
By 2024.
Will return American astronauts to the moon.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
Good liftoff. 1 engine. Right away, Houston. Vector good.